And we are live. Give me just a second here. OBS insists on constantly causing trouble. One of these days, OBS, one of these days. It and Zoom just do not play nicely together. All right.
They are.
All right. Well, good evening, friends, and welcome back to tonight's episode 3 of A&M Talk D&D. As always, I am Ash King.
I'm Michael Cross.
And we are here to talk to you about all things Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. I'm so excited about Dungeons and Dragons. I really love this game so much. It's so much fun.
Hello, Caldane. I
Hey.
have a feeling I know who that is.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us tonight. As always, folks, if you guys have any thoughts or any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We are watching the chat, so we can respond to whatever you have and whatever you'd like to chat about. So just go ahead and fire off a comment and just let us know. So it helps us know that we're not just, sitting here talking to ourselves.
Not like that would be so much of a problem.
Right, that's not a problem when it's me and you. So yeah, we're excited that you were able to join us tonight. So welcome to the stream. Well, so Mike, we've had some pretty big announcements.
I know, and I was kind of surprised that they would announce it this quick because they were all so big about waiting till the July drop when they usually do. But
I'll say usually like they're big because they always have like their big stream that they'll do that they've done
I just think that's how I found out about Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Was I remember Friday night we were playing at the Friday night table. And you were keeping an eye on it. And I said, send me a note when they decide what the new book's going to be for September. And you came over and it's going to be like some kind of heist type game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think at that one, because like they call each one like something slightly different, and it was like the stream of many eyes.
Yeah.
So that one, like I remember that one specifically for the name. So, but yeah, that's how they've been dropping like the new books the last couple of years. Is they wait until, well, at least the adventure books now. The different players' books have certainly been introduced in different ways. I remember when they were teasing Tasha's, and it was just an MP3 of like a witch's cackle, and it was named like Tiny Tarts or something like that. And like, okay, everyone was putting it together, and it's like, okay, there's the spell Tasha's Hideous Laughter. It has the material components of, tiny tarts and a feather waved around in the air. Tasha's confirmed?
Yes.
And then, of course, yes, eventually it was confirmed, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Apparently, was the new Feywild book, was that leaked?
I think Amazon might have accidentally leaked it.
Because I think
I saw first off, and I think it was like maybe late Sunday when I saw a little thing saying, by the way, Amazon just leaked the next adventure, and
thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, which I'm sure Wizards of the Coast is real happy about that.
Oh yeah.
But I love it. And so I told my son, I said, with Ravenloft, with these new unearthed arcanas on Feyfolk, I bet you the next adventure is going to be in the Feywild. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, I think it is. And I'm like, why did I not record that to prove to somebody that I sometimes do know what I'm talking about?
You can put 2 and 5 together based off of what's being released, and it's one of those things when you've been at D&D long enough, and you've been watching, like, you watch the trends, especially if you pay attention to those unearthed arcanas, because if you don't know about unearthed arcana, let me be the first one to tell you, but On the Wizards of the Coast website, every month there is brand new playtest content. Some of it is stuff where they're trying to like revitalize old classics. Like I
Mhm.
remember Psionics went through
Yeah,
like 5 different iterations of Unearthed Arcanas,
yeah. They
going
still
back
haven't
to
gotten that one
like,
right. Yeah,
yeah, they still haven't gotten that quite tweaked right, but yeah, they were playtesting that forever before they put it out into Tasha's. So it took a long time before that was released, but you can kind of get a feel for at least what they're thinking about by looking at the
Mhm.
Unearthed Arcanas, especially if they drop like 4 or 5 in a row that are kind of
Yeah,
similar content. You can kind of work backwards and figure out, like, based off of what they're playtesting, what's the next
yeah.
set of things going to be. So that's kind of one way, we detective work and figure it
Yes,
all out. But yeah, so, and I feel like the Amazon leak has happened like more than once now.
it has. It has. This is the second time this happened,
Yeah,
and
because what was the other one? Was it
wasn't it Candlekeep? Didn't they accidentally drop Candlekeep?
maybe? I can't remember. I know there was another one. Like, I felt like, okay, this is the second time that Amazon has kind of spoiled the surprise for us
Yeah,
through whatever, like, links or
or maybe
algorithms,
it was
or
Icewind Dale.
might have. Was it
Maybe they did
Icewind
this
Dale?
last year when everyone was waiting for the July and Wizards of the Coast. Maybe Wizards of the Coast needs to stop putting the placeholders on Amazon or something.
Maybe might be a good idea. Amazon can't seem to keep a secret.
No.
You'd think with all the money they have, they could keep a secret, but
Yeah, well, no, they want to spread out as much news as they
oh
can.
oh yeah, they want
So,
to keep
what do
their.
you think about the Feywild?
I love the Feywild as a
I do too.
concept. I feel like it doesn't get enough love because it's. Oh, did they spoil the Ravenica book, Caleb? Was that the other one that might also have been
Oh,
one?
yeah,
Cause yeah, like I feel like it wasn't a recent one, but like yeah, that would kind of track in my mind because I'm trying to remember.
and that would have, yeah, because I think all of us would have gone, what? What's
Yeah,
a
what's
Ravnica?
what's a
Why
rev?
is why do I care?
Why do we care about this?
And every Magic the Gathering fan went, I know what that
I,
is.
I, yeah, it might have been. Again, I can't like. I don't remember because I feel like it's been a while since the last like.
Yeah,
But there was one other one that Amazon like spoiled the surprise for everybody.
yeah. But
So
I think the Feywild is supposed to be, rather than going through like a planescape or anything like that, Ravnik or the Feywild and Ravenloft kind of allow you to plane hop and world hop
hmm
because you can actually jump from world to world through the Feywild and through Ravenloft. You can also, of course, do it through Avernus, but I think it's just their way of going, look, we've got these other worlds. We want you to go to these other worlds, but you can't because everyone's in the Forgotten Realms and there's no real.
yeah, I agree with you on that, Mike. I mean, definitely from my experience just being in the 5th edition fandom, for lack of a better
Hmm,
word, being in the 5th edition D&D fandom, like everyone has kept like the big ones that people keep asking for are Planescape and Spelljammer.
right.
Like that's the joke whenever Wizards starts even talking about, okay guys, we're about to release a new book.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Planescape,
Yeah. New setting.
Spelljammer, and
New
it's never
setting.
it's never either of those.
No. Here's Magic the Gathering.
Here
But
you go.
I
But
gotta say, I don't know anything about Strixhaven, obviously, because I don't play Magic the Gathering. But what little I've been reading, it's I think it's Harry Potter D&D.
that's what I mean, at least from the key artwork, because I unfortunately haven't really had time to look into that so much just yet. But from the key artwork that they released, like in the D&D Beyond email blast,
Mhm.
like yeah, it does feel okay. Yeah, so according to
Yeah,
Kaldane,
it's yeah,
Strixhaven is the Harry Potter universe of wizards. So yeah, like it feels very that whole like the magic school AU,
yeah. And if you look
basically.
at the Unearthed Arcana, it is a whole ton of subclasses for wizards, druids, any of the magic wielding uh, classes. Just a ton of subclasses
Mm-hmm.
in the Unearthed Arcana. Now, of course, those will probably be reworked by the time November
Oh
rolls
yeah.
around.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I'm excited. I come from I know a lot of people like the low magic worlds, and that's fine. I don't mind playing in them. But I mean, if you're gonna have magic in your world, just go, you know, go all out. And I think Strixhaven is that.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of goes all out with if we're gonna have magic, let's have
Let's
all the magic.
all the magic
Everybody
all the
gets magic.
time.
You get a spell, and
And
you
you
get a
get a
spell. Everybody gets spells.
spells for
I
you.
love the idea. So
Yeah.
it might be the first Magic the Gathering setting that I might kind of enjoy.
That you'll
So
enjoy and look into. Yeah. So another comment from Kaldane. Kaldane says that there's even schoolhouses in Strixhaven. So okay, so yeah, it
yeah,
definitely. So this definitely sounds like for those of you out there who are looking for a way to do Harry Potter esque uh, adventures with your D&D game, this may be the book for you.
yeah,
I feel like this is going to be the player love companion to Ravenloft, because as we've been talking, Van Richten's guide is very much like the DM candy. I have a feeling that this is going to be like this will be the player candy.
yes, yes.
So,
Oh yeah, which they kind of have to do since the Tasha's was more for players.
mm-hmm.
Eberron was more for DMs again. I mean, it had some player stuff, but it was really to set the world for. So hopefully, yeah, Strixhaven will be a lot really heavy players, especially since I guess AL is now basically allowing anything from any book.
You know, I don't know. I'd have to look into that a little more because I know there is a list of like the approved sources
Uh,
that you can take from, and I don't think Ravenica is actually on there, so I don't know. They're crossing the streams a little bit with the two Magic the Gathering books,
uh,
because like in the Adventures League like approved list of books, I don't think Ravenica's on there, and I have a feeling
Paris.
the Strixhaven book won't be on there because also like the Critical Role, the
Oh, Wildmount.
Wildmount, like that's not AL content. So there
Oh, okay, because
are
I thought the new season was going to be setting up to where you could basically because of being able to travel through Ravenloft and through Feywild, I think they're going to start to say, hey, yeah, sure, your Ravnica Leonid can walk over to Forgotten Realms because they can just travel to the Feywild to get there.
I'm a little hesitant to make that jump. I still feel like because there are some cases where you don't combine the peanut butter and the chocolate in
Yeah, you
AL.
do. Yeah, you do every time. No, you don't. No, I know AL hates mixing its peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah,
Me
AL,
personally, mix up as much peanut butter with chocolate as you can get.
right? AL's still even though it's changed a lot over the last couple of years, it still very much is it still very much is the like it's very still very Forgotten Realms heavy.
Mhm.
I think I was seeing something when like it was before Van Richten's guide came out, and it was talking about the new AL season for basically that would be I think they were going to set some adventures like in the domains of dread.
Yeah.
um but yeah, they were basically saying something about how like um you could like travel to the different domains of dread. I have to look more into it, but I still feel like there will be certain books that are not on the quote unquote
Yeah.
approved list, but they are definitely doing away with like I
Well,
so to
and
yeah to address
Kaldane's
what
actually talking
Kaldane
about the PHP plus one.
yeah to address what Kaldane is saying. I feel I feel like I've read that. So since Tasha's came
Yeah.
out, they have inputted some alternate rules for
Yeah.
character creation. So there's a new way they do the character creation, and I think they're lifting like just completely like
Yeah.
the
It's
player's
just
handbook plus one is just
this is
out
a
the
list
door.
of books that you can do it from.
Yeah, there's like the approved list of
Right.
books, and like there might be, I think it might be perhaps season specific, because
Yeah.
it feels like they're going back to the very season specific characters. Like they want you to create a new character for each season,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of personally against in many cases, because
It just, yeah.
yeah, like one of the things about AL was being able to bring back previous characters and like
Right.
play them in those higher tier adventures, because they wouldn't release the adventures like it wouldn't be like a level 1 through 10. Like
Right.
you'd get like there would be like two tier 1 adventures released, and then like there would be two, like a tier 2 or a tier 3 adventure released, and
Right.
then they'd release a couple more tier 1s, a couple more tier 2s, blah 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 blah. So it was kind of scattered throughout the season, which did reward those players who had been playing AL for a long period of time and had those higher level characters that they wanted to bring back. Well, with Rime of the Frost Maiden,
Yeah.
that concept kind of got thrown out the door, and they asked you to, okay, your season 10 character is going to be a brand new character that you've never played before, and in order to play season 10 adventures you have to like, the rules were kind of weird, and so that's another reason why I really am interested to see kind of how it's going to be going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they kick the seasonality stuff to the curb again, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw how quickly the season eight rules kind of got thrown out the door. So who knows? I haven't played an AL game in years anyway.
Same
So
here.
okay.
Same
So
here.
let's start with go with Ravenloft here. We're on chapter three. For those of you, everyone, open your books to chapter three. I don't have my book yet. Still really hoping for Father's Day.
Same.
Anniversary's coming up. Hopefully, one of those days I'll get
You'll
the
get the
Ravenloft
lovely
book.
the lovely hard copy of Ravenloft.
Yeah. Now we're not going to be able to go through all of the domains tonight. I think this is something we can spread out over time. There's no reason we have to go through all of chapter three tonight.
Mhm.
Um, so especially because I want to talk about the very beginning of chapter three, where it talks about
The
things
mist.
like the mists. What are your thoughts on the mists?
Oh, I love the concept of the mists. I love um the almost semi sentient, like the mists are almost a character in and of themselves.
Right.
Like it's such a fun concept. It's so cool. I've definitely used the mists to great effect in the Ravenloft games that I've run, because I
Mhm.
like that whole idea of, you're out on a moonless night,
Mhm.
and you're hunting down, you're on the trail of some creature, or you're on the road between two towns, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden this supernaturally dense fog seems to come in,
Yeah.
and you get lost in the mist, and then you're wandering in the mists for a while, and then suddenly they part, and then like, oh, you see Castle Ravenloft,
Yeah.
or pick the icon of your domain of dread, and the mists part, and that's what you see. And so you get to paint that picture for your players and for the characters as to
Yeah.
just, ooh.
Yeah, season five, the AL game for, and I can't remember if it was a zero set. I know it was one of the zero set. It was just the first adventure, and it's just a normal adventure in northern, just
Would
outside of
be
Flan.
4.
Season
So
four, correct?
Yeah,
No, season
Ravenloft would
five
be
was
4.
season five was the Giants. Season four, you're supposed to, you it's some farm. You're trying to figure out what is happening to some animals, happen around Flan, and then all of a sudden you just these mists roll in. You have no idea, and when the mists finally part, and this is the end of that adventure. It's like 0401.
Mm-hmm.
It says the mists part. You see a sign in front of you. It says welcome to Barovia. And then from that moment on, you can't leave Barovia
Yeah,
until you
the mists
you
have you trapped. You have to find
yeah,
a way to
and it's
escape.
wonderful. I just love the way it's done, and I love the fact that the mists are always there, but whether or not you can get in depends on A, if the dark powers want to let you in,
Mm-hmm.
or and or B, if the Dark Lord
Mm-hmm.
has the gates open.
Yep.
So I love that idea that you just don't know. And of course, each one of the domains, it actually says, does the Dark Lord control it? Do they not? Are they always open? Are they always closed? Of
Yeah.
course, having a talisman changes the equation a bit.
I love the concept. I love the concept of the mist talismans, to have it where, like, if your characters have a particular realm where they're trying to go, and they can get their hands on a mist talisman in order to,
Yeah,
like, that's your GPS, that's
yeah,
your Navi crystal, if you
yeah.
will.
That's the key. That's just the key to get from one point to the
Mm-hmm.
next. And I love the idea that, because that's where, if you wanted to do a Ravenloft campaign where they're not just going to Barovia, they're not just going to uh, different areas, they are going from place to place. So within each realm, you've got to find, your characters have to find the next uh, key to
In
get
order
to the
to
next one.
progress to the next level, you
Yeah,
must find.
and I love that idea. I think that's great. I think, again, this book is so made for DMs, and
It's
it's just
such a lovely love letter
yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
dungeon masters.
Um,
But yes, the yeah, and honestly, you should definitely, if you're running this type of campaign, the environment itself
hmm,
should be a character. Like, you should spend just as much time on the atmosphere and on getting the right mood
hmm,
as you spend on, your Dark Lord or your enemies or your encounters or whatever. So do not forget and do not neglect your environment. And the
yeah.
mists are a huge part, and like I said, they are almost a character in and of themselves, because it is a question of, it's not just the Dark Lord who controls the mists, but the dark powers themselves
Right.
control the mists. So it's that whole push pull of, is the Dark Lord the tyrant and the ruler of the land, or is the Dark Lord the prisoner of the
Right.
land? So it's just, oof.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's great. I love the what you can bring to this as a dungeon master to create your own realm. And again, that's why I love the way the book is written, where they talk about the Dark Lord and how you create this Dark Lord, and then it goes through, okay, what is your world like? And again, when we talk about creating a world, everyone always thinks this Middle Earth,
The Tolkien
Westeros
school and
type
the
of
George
thing.
R. R.
Yeah,
Martin school of world building.
yeah. The great thing about this is you don't have you're it could be as big as a train car. I mean, you get to decide, and then you get to build that all by yourself, just taking these little things that it mentions about culture, technology, language, religion. I mean, all these things that you've got to think about long before you start the campaign,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to add the flavor, the horror flavor that you want to add to your adventure, and your players will thank you for
Yes,
making this so real for them.
most, most definitely, most, most definitely.
So we, yeah, and again, it talks about facing the Dark Lords. I think the one thing I think one of the complaints I've heard is that they've kind of weakened, nerfed, whatever you want to say, the Dark Lords. But the final battle being the Dark Lord doesn't necessarily have to be your thing. But of course, you could make your Dark Lord into a death tyrant,
Mm-hmm.
a death knight, and all of a sudden you've got quite a battle for even 15th, 16th level characters. So especially when you throw a bunch of
Add,
minions around
yeah, if you
in.
add in some minions, you're usually good to go. One of my favorite sayings that I've adopted over the years is, it might look like a duck and
Mm.
it might quack like a duck, but the stat block is really a death dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's the thing that you as a dungeon master do have freedom to do, is to take a stat block for a similar creature or for the feel that you want for your enemy, but
Mm.
describe it as something completely different.
Yeah.
You are not bound by the description that is attached to a stat block. So feel free to, if you want to swap out a Dark Lord stat block for something more powerful,
Mhm.
you are within your right to do that.
Yeah.
If
And
you
there's is also later on when it talks about the monsters that you could trade out abilities. You could you there are in the DM's guide there's a list of legendary actions and other
mhm.
things that you can do.
you
There's
can add
yeah.
you can add a class to
Yes.
a monster. So
Yeah.
not only does it have the abilities of the monster, it has the abilities of whatever class you give it.
Mhm.
So you take a dragon and add on about 20 levels of sorcerer,
Oh my god.
you've got a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah. And that's why, and I love, and that's what I love about this book. Again, it says, this is all up to you. This is your imagination. This is your world. Make it however you want to. And even if you feel like, and we're going to get to Barovia in just a moment, but even if you feel like Strahd isn't powerful enough in this version of Barovia, make it more powerful. Do whatever you want to do. It's you're running this. It's not none of this is set in stone. The beauty of dungeon mastering is that you take this as okay, this is a great idea. Now for my table, I'm going to do this. Because the other thing is the dungeon master, these people don't know who your players are. They don't know who your characters are. So they just give you the ideas. But once you're playing with these characters, maybe you've got no tanks at all in your party. Well, maybe you want to throw some things at them that makes them accidentally be frontliners. Maybe they're all rangers. You can do things and it doesn't account for that. What it does is it just kind of says, here's some ideas. You are the dungeon master. You're the one who creates this world. So you do what you need to do to make it as exciting as possible for your characters, for your characters and for your players.
Yes, every hardcover book that is written, whether it's a just a straight up source book like this, or it is a fully fleshed out written adventure,
Mm.
technically even those hardcover books are just guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
It's just here's the way that we've written it, but yeah, if you feel like you need to swap out some monsters to throw
Mm-hmm.
some different challenges at your players, you're within your rights to do that.
Right. Or maybe you need to run Storm King's Thunder in 12 hours. Which was that was such a wonderful day. Ah, I had so much fun on that day. Now
I
that we're getting back together this year, we're gonna have to do that again in New Year's Eve.
have to
New Year's Eve.
I'll have to
I
find
want to
one.
be.
I'll have to find a good one because we've done Storm King's Thunder in 12 hours. We did Mayhem in Menzo Branson.
Yeah, yeah. It was basically what the last
It
chapter,
was
or
like
I think it
it
was
was the
last.
last 4 or 5 chapters of Out of the Abyss.
Yeah, which was so much fun.
Yeah, and then
So you can speed up. That's the thing about these things. You can speed them up if you have to. You can slow them down if you have to. It's your game. So you figure out how you want to do it. And of course, also know your audience. And your audience is your players. look at your players. Are they bored? Are they pulling out their phones and tweeting and texting and stuff like that? That means you've bored your players. So do something exciting. Get them into it. Know your audience. Read your audience. Then they are the only audience that matters. Unlike, of course, obviously we
I
care
mean,
about our audience.
unless you are planning to offer up your game as a podcast,
Yes.
in which case the audience is no longer the players. The players are technically in on the dungeon mastering joke,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore you all have to consider the listeners who are listening to you. But
Yeah.
if it's a
But
private game at home, the only people you have to worry about are yourself and your players.
yeah. So be
Little
be mindful of
life
them.
advice
Yes.
there for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. Oh, hey, we got some more new
Run.
people here.
Okay, yeah. Run a 12-hour Out of the Abyss or a Water Deep. I don't know which one I'd
You
want
could
to
do
do.
water deep in 12 hours.
I feel like Water Deep would be a good one to try and do in 12 hours.
We
The
should do Mad
other
Mage in 12 hours.
Yeah. No. No. I don't think you could run Mad Mage even in a year.
No.
Like in its entirety. I don't think so. You'd have to cut out so much to
Someday I'd
do.
actually love to be in that one. I'd love
Oof,
to. We went
oof.
for a little while in Mad Mage, but it didn't last very long. I would love to do that one again.
The one I was kind of thinking about, I don't know. I feel like Avernus would be really fun
Oh yeah,
in 12 hours.
you could do that because there's a lot of fluff in there you could easily cut out.
Yeah.
From
Avernus, I feel, would be really fun in 12 hours. I'd have to look a little more into Waterdeep, but I do feel that Waterdeep could be a good 12-hour one too. But
Yeah,
I've
'cause
got
you
a
could
couple cooking in the back of
yeah
my
you
brain.
could technically do Waterdeep in 20 hour
Okay.
in 4 or 5 and 5 4-hour sessions. So you could cut out a lot of the fluff to knock it down in 12 hours. I don't know how exciting it would be. It's basically you go get a coffee shop and then
Right, you open up your fantasy Starbucks.
that's right. Dave
Yes.
knows what I'm talking about. I opened a coffee shop with him, so it was fun.
I still want to do. I have done. It didn't work out very well because the people I had were very new. But I would want to get a good group together and actually run. There's a. Somebody did an edit that is one night at Strahd's,
Oh,
or
really?
like one night in Ravenloft, and
Mm-hmm.
it's. Or no, it's called. If you look, it's on the D&D Beyond blog. It's called Strahd Must Die.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
Strahd.
Vecna must die.
Yes, Strahd must die, and it's a challenge to run like you run Castle Ravenloft in like a single night.
No.
And I want to get a good group of people and do that for Halloween.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's a good
Actually,
Halloween game. And then
or
a
maybe
great
for
follow up one is a Weekend at Strahd's.
yes. So let's talk about Barovia. I have not. I my only experience with Barovia is our DM when I first started. I mean, brand new into season or into fifth edition. I jumped in and they were running. David was running the AL version of season 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through that, which of course Strahd is still a menacing part of it, but
Yeah,
not actually the story because the actual story is in the hardcover.
exactly.
So I didn't get. So how does this description of Barovia compare to Curse of Strahd?
So the description here, it's definitely very much the same as the Curse of Strahd. There's not really anything too different between the two books. The only real thing that this kind of changes, if I would even want to use that word, is that it just talks about like different ways to incorporate Tatiana.
Mhm.
Because in the hardcover Curse of Strahd, Tatiana is currently housed in the body of Irina Kolyana.
Mhm.
So that's. But honestly, like the fun thing about Curse of Strahd is that you can run Curse of Strahd numerous times, and each time is going to be completely different, even with the same group of people, because of the randomization introduced by the Taraka.
Ah, yeah.
There's a really great randomization mechanic written into Curse of Strahd using the Taraka deck, and I love it so much. But yeah, the Barovia that's described in this book, it's definitely the Cliff Notes version,
Right. Oh yeah.
because all of these places that are talked about in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft are elaborated upon in Curse of Strahd. So I honestly don't feel the need to spend much time in this book's version of Barovia,
Yeah.
because I feel like if you want a really, it gives you a good taste.
Right.
I will say that, and it gives you a good overview, especially if you're wanting to maybe run something that's not Curse of Strahd,
Right.
or if your table is done with Curse of Strahd and you'd like to run further adventures in Barovia, this is definitely a good place to kind of get some inspiration to start you off.
Yeah. Or maybe zero level characters that if you want to do a zero level adventure where all the characters are from Barovia, so you could kind of figure out how to flesh them out. Or again, if you're going to do the Ravenloft topic,
Mm-hmm.
to going from domain to
Yeah, but
domain.
say you start, like, if you start, because the book, the hardcover, I think I think it actually, it'll get you up pretty high.
Yeah,
It
it's like
gets you up,
14th level if I remember
yeah, I
correctly.
think it's up to 14th level if you do everything. But depending on your DM, you could technically have it just be where you use that as a jumping off point to go jump off into some of these other domains of dread. So
Yeah.
it just really depends on what you want to do with it. But
Yeah.
I would definitely say if you're looking to run something in Barovia, and you're not wanting to put in much effort, yeah, Curse of Strahd,
Well, yeah.
A plus. This,
Yeah.
however, will give you your Barovia light
Yeah.
and allow you to build something out that's a little more unique and a little more your own.
Okay. Blutspur.
But I do just want to say this has become my second favorite.
I know.
Just the way he's beckoning there, like, oh, hello there, girl. Going to get that girl a castle. Girls love castles. Blue spur.
Blut, the alien abduction domain. um, I think someone said to the writers, there is no way you could make mind flayers any scarier, and the writer said, "Hold my beer,"
hold, hold my beer. Watch this. Um,
because
and then
oh
also, if you
my,
don't know, so do you know the international sign for mind flayer?
what is that? Yeah, which actually I think of Dr. Zoidberg. So what did you think of Blutspur?
I love the concept of Blutspur. I'm my girlfriend. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I've ever told you this, but my girlfriend really loves mind flayers.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, they are her. She is to mind flayers as I am to drow.
yeah,
So having this demiplane that is devoted to mind flayers, I love it so much
mm,
because they're supposed to be very alien, anyways.
yeah,
I mean, especially if you go into like, into like the Spelljammer, they very much are the crazy weird aliens of D&D that you never know what exactly their goals are and
right,
why they're doing the things they do. You just know that it's affecting you in a terrible way because they're doing these terrible things to you. I I may have mentioned at some point how much, like, just the life cycle of mind flayers and illithids, like, squicks me out.
yeah.
So yeah, so having an entire, like, demiplane devoted to their horror, A plus, gotta love it.
Yeah. And none of these adventures, none of these domains have like a level. Your characters should be this, but this one's immediately I thought, oh, you better have some high level characters because it's not going to be easy to whatever your goal is in this domain.
Mm-mm.
This is and it's horrifying. Um, in a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, masterful way because the ability to modify the memories to where maybe you don't even start out here you're just giving these characters, oh, you had a dream last night, and in this dream you were being probed by these weird squid creatures, and you don't know what's going on. But it leads you to this area, and yeah, you better have some high level characters before you go to Bloodspur, because
Oh yeah.
it that you should never be low level and go up against any mind player.
Mind flayers are like a tier 2 monster
Yeah,
at minimum.
yeah,
I
just by themselves.
oof
Yeah.
oof.
I
They're
mean,
skewy.
and I think we were level 2 when we took on in Dragon Heist a intellect devour, killed one of our players immediately. I'm
Ugh,
like,
and like and yeah, intellect devours are another one that I'm just like, oof.
yeah,
Immediately, if any of my characters are ever in a room with an intellect devourer, like I don't care what other threats are in that room, that's dying first.
yes, yes, and from as far away as possible.
Mm-hmm. Kill it
Yeah.
with fire from across the room.
Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast,
Yeah,
Eldritch Blast.
I turn very much into Kenny Rogers in The Thing with the flamethrower. That's me.
Yes,
That me.
yeah. Um, anything else you want to talk about with Bloodspur?
With Bloodspur. I like how Cthulhu-esque it is.
Oh yes, oh yeah,
This
true
is
cosmic horror.
yeah, this is cosmic horror. This is what cosmic horror should be in D&D, is you take the creatures that are the aberrations, are the literally the thing that will make your brain go if
Yeah,
you mess with them. That is ideally what cosmic horror should be. Like, you can't even fathom what the mind flayers are doing or why they're
right,
doing it. They're just doing the thing they're doing the thing that mind flayer do.
right,
And yeah, and it should like explode your brain.
yeah,
And have some weird freaky deaky like mental gymnastics to figure out like what's going on. So the description of the mountain, the Mount Macabre,
hmm
I loved that like
yeah,
very very much. Like instantly as soon as I read that, like my mind just started to go crazy
yeah,
with like the description of Mount Macabre and the Citadel subterrane with, you know, everything is underneath this mountain that is also so high that you cannot fathom it, so high that you cannot see its peaks. I'm just
yeah.
that's Lovecraft right there in a nutshell.
Uh-huh. And it adds to the imagination of the players, where they are just trying to figure out what this is all about. Because the more you try to think about it, that's the beauty of the Cthulhu and Lovecraftian horror, is the more you think about it, the more gray matter is going to leak out of your ears, because you can't. You should not, you nor your character should be able to wrap your mind around this.
Yeah, I would say the only way to make it worse would be to throw in some star spawn.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is a list. I don't, does this one have the list of monsters? I don't know if this one does. There, so some of them do have a list of monsters to throw in. I don't think this one does. But you know, they're an elective hour, displacer beast, vampiric mind flayer.
Yeah, no, it does mention the star spawn emissary.
Yeah.
um
But you could also, you know, this is since we're talking aberrations, you could even throw in a beholder if you wanted to.
mhm.
You could, there are and maybe even, since it's planar, maybe throw in some Githyanki who are maybe on your side. Maybe the rebellion is led by some Githyanki. I mean, there's a whole lot of ways you could go with this. And it sprinkles into
it's
the imagination
it's
of the
brain
dungeon
candy.
master. Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
brain candy.
Uh,
Literally and
so
figuratively.
yes. So Borka, what did you think about Borka?
In my notes, I put down the Borgias. Are
Oh
you
yes.
familiar with the
Mhm.
Borgias? the Italian family who was
Mm-hmm.
well known for all of their machinations to try and get the different members of family into different positions of power.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me what the heart of Borka should be, is the power plays and the you scratch my back, I scratch your back, I have dirt on you that I'm gonna hold over your head to get you to do what I want. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely the Borgias.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really felt like if you want to go into some really serious role playing style game, this is it.
If I
What,
were to run an intrigue, this would
yeah.
probably be the domain that I would want to run an intrigue campaign.
Yeah, because it's all there for you. You don't really have to do much except for create the world, the kind of build the environment around, but it's all set up for you to create, at least, a first through 10th level game,
Mm-hmm.
adventure all the way through. That just because you've got the main characters, you've got the big bads, you've got the the domain setting is to where, okay, are the people in there the same way? Do you have to be that, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of thing, or are they maybe thinking they want to try and get away from that kind of attitude? So um, this power play of, yeah, well, you want to say Borges as well, instead of
Again,
Borka.
it's um medieval, what was it, like 14th century Italy,
Yeah,
where uh everybody's trying to climb, everyone's trying to climb to the top, and
yeah,
many of the people are, they're not, have no scruples as to how exactly they're gonna do that.
yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
And in the
doesn't matter.
meantime, there's the decadence. There's just it's
The whining
rich
and the
gone
dining
wild.
and the masks, and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, I Borka definitely scratches that desire for intrigue in me. So yeah, I feel like if I were to run an intrigue, like Borka would probably be my go-to. Like, let's do it here.
I drank that wrong. Okay,
Go down
uh,
the wrong tube there, Mike.
it really did. Okay, the carnival. I love this, and it was, and as much as I say I don't like body horror, because if so, the first thing I do is I turn to the page and it says body horror, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know if I'll like this.
Oh
I
no.
love the carnival. I love this idea for a domain, and I love the little extras. The Dreadlord has sold this to, or traded it from Shadar and fears the day the Shadar return to get it from her. I love that idea. To where you've got this domain lord, the dread lord, who is trapped, to be part of the carnival, but fears the moment that she's no longer trapped
Mm-hmm.
by the carnival. And so I think there's so many great ways to go with this. Plus, it allows you to maybe even have a little bit of fun.
Yes.
There's one coming up later that's even more fun, but this one, at least you could have a little bit of fun with your characters.
Yes. I There's something really appealing to me on a personal level for a carnival setting. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know why, like the first adventure that I wrote for Extra Life that I ran Nick and Caleb and Kaylee and Connor and some other people through, the first one that we did live on a Twitch stream, I set it in a Fey carnival.
Yeah.
And it was it was a little pocket dimension where the ruler of the dimension was catching people and bringing them
Mhm.
to the carnival to act as entertainment for his guests, because he was a fae, like he was like a fae prince. And that's the thing about the fae, is that they can be very amoral.
Mhm.
Their morals are completely different from those of humans.
Right.
You and that's I think that's what people sometimes forget about Fae is that yes, Fae can be dark, Fae can be evil. They're not all, sunshine and rainbows and light and puppies. You have the Seelie and the Unseelie, and do not eat or drink in the lands of the Fae
Right.
lest they catch you forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the original Tam Lin story
Mhm.
was, a guy who was captured by the Fairy Queen and was forced to live his life as a shade until he meets, the woman who he falls in love with. And, one of the versions of the story is that, oh, hey, yeah, I can't be with you because the Fairy Queen is going to sacrifice me come Samhain.
Yeah.
And so in order to save him, she has to do the whole thing where she holds on to him as he transformed into all of these different wild creatures.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Well,
there's
the Fae have never been that. The Fae were not that way until Disney.
yeah.
Disney
Well, I think
was the
even
one that
just
would change the Fae because I mean, you go to
well, the
Shakespeare.
Victorian the
You,
Victorians really kind of started it. They started to take the teeth out of the Fae and of fairies, because they made them little, they made them real small and took away all the powers, and then Disney just continued to kind of
yeah.
take all the teeth out of fairies, but no, it was happening as early as the Brothers Grimm.
I don't know. The Brothers Grimm, there's some of the Fae in there were kind of just. There's some books in there where they're just messing with the Fae, and they're like doing some really nasty things
Oh yeah.
because
Well,
you
if
know.
you look, actually, there has been some comparisons made of like different print editions of the Grimm's books.
Mhm.
And yes, actually, as time went by,
Oh yeah.
they actually started to clean it up a little
I
bit.
can believe it. I can, yeah. If they start going, oh, our stories really are supposed to be for children. We should probably stop
We're
doing some
our
stuff
our
that.
target market that's buying most of these is families with children. Originally, we were just collecting the folk tales as they were told,
Right.
and then they started to, as time went by, started to clean it up. But originally, when they just gathered up all of these folk tales and all these
Yeah.
folktale variants, um, yeah, it's pretty dark. It's pretty, we hear the word fairy tale nowadays and we're like, oh, it's that sweet little story that I'm gonna tell little Susie before she falls asleep at night.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But of course, I mean, there were tougher times back then. Why were you telling your children that? Because you didn't want your children running off into the forest. Because regardless of whether there's fae out there, there's dangerous stuff out there that's not even supernatural.
Mm-mm.
You don't want your child running off the path because don't want them to get eaten by the wolf. You don't want, there are reasons why children were told these things. The problem is that those dangers don't exist as much in nowadays. So now we tell the stories of the Fae to kind of be happier and lighter.
It's
But the
just
original was
it's
just
just
to
light and
scare the
fluffy
pants off of
entertainment.
them. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why I feel like the carnival setting fits that so much, because there is something very Fae like about a traveling carnival, that comes into town once a year, sets up, you go, you have fun, but there's always this little hint of danger and trickery, whether it's just from the adrenaline of the rides or going down the midway to play the carnival games and not knowing if you're gonna get ripped off or not,
Yeah.
that hope that you're gonna win big. Yeah, so there's something like, I don't know what it is. There's just
It's
something so nice, so interesting about a fairy carnival or like a
yeah.
magical carnival, and
And
ugh.
it's also part of who we were when we were kids. I mean, who didn't want to grow up? Who didn't want to run away with a circus? I mean, that would have been amazing.
Mhm.
Everyone always think, I could run away with the circus, and And that danger in itself is,
It's an
what
adventure.
if you were pulled into it, and but you couldn't escape it anymore.
Hmm.
uh I, there's yeah, there is fun but danger and horror that could easily be done through the carnival, that you could just have so much fun with.
Yeah. That's another domain that is on my list of ones that I want to delve a little more into
Mm-hmm.
in, maybe in a home game,
Yeah.
because again, it's one of those ideas that just keeps biting me in the butt and it doesn't want to let go.
Mm-hmm. And there's
So,
so many domains in here that are like that, and it's like there's not enough time. I don't have enough
ain't
time to run all of
ain't
these
got
or be
enough
in all
hours
of
in the
them.
day.
Yeah. I wish, because I would love. That's why I think that the only way I could ever enjoy playing in a in a Ravenloft campaign would be to domain hop, because I
Yeah.
don't want to go to them all. I don't want to just go to a few of them. I
Want to
want
see?
to see all of them and experience all of them, especially with a really good DM that could really bring all of these to life. Um, we've only got 4 minutes left, so I don't want to go to the next one.
Mm-mm.
Let's stop here so that we will have more for tomorrow. Next week, tomorrow. Let's do tomorrow.
Let's do
Uh,
let's do this again. No,
I won't
Mike. No.
sleep. The what is it? Title Scroll, scare your kids into obedience. Yes, yeah, yes, you do. It's that is that I and I understand it, because you don't want your kids to do. We're watching Sweet Tooth. Just got to manage to watch the first episode of Sweet Tooth, which just came out, and that's what Papa has to do with his child, is he has to scare him to not go past the fence. He has to scare him to not, because it's dangerous, and it really is with the plague and everything like that. So, yeah, you have to scare these children, and our children aren't getting scared enough. But of course, that goes back to even when I was a kid. I wasn't scared of anything, so I was running around. Yeah.
As
Um,
nowadays, because of modern technology and modern safety rules,
yeah.
modern food safety, modern automobile safety, we don't see as many children dying as they once did.
Right.
Used to, you had a crap ton of kids because you hoped that maybe two or three of them would survive into adulthood.
Hmm.
And that's you go walking in the cemeteries, and you see all of the headstones of the little
Yeah.
ones who died. And that's not really the case anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, children still do die, but the causes are, in general, are accidental.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Or
it's
or
not like it
or
used to
within the
be.
family, they're not from walking into the forest.
Yeah.
But where the dangers are for children nowadays is on the World Wide Web. Maybe we need a Grimm's fairy tales for not going out on the putting yourself out on the web, because
What does
that's the
that say
dangerous
about
place
us,
to be.
Mike?
I know.
Are we the
I
fae
know.
that is luring? Are we the fae who are luring people to their doom?
Oh no, I'm the good fairy.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
the good fairy.
he's he's Sealy. Me,
Yeah,
unseelie all
yeah.
the way.
My when I was at Harry Potter World, and I got the wand, and they try to tell which wand you are, and it turned out I was in Slytherin, and my sister was right next to me. She goes, "Figures." What? I'm not. I With a face like this, I can't be evil. There's just it would never work. Of course, that's the problem. You got to watch for people with a face like me.
It's always it's
um,
evil. True evil does not look evil.
no, that's right.
True evil looks beautiful and angelic, and is going to lure you in with a smiling face and a kind hand.
Yeah. Um, this is a
Anyways,
good discussion here.
yes,
Um,
yes, 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 yes. Well, thank
and
you all for joining
yeah,
us this
uh,
evening.
I had
Um,
Northern Okie, Tackle Scrow. Thank you all so very much. Kaldane, thank
Kaldane,
you. We are going to do
mwah,
this every week.
mwah.
even when we don't get done with Raven Loft, we will do something else.
There's so much to talk
And
about. We'll just
there's so
pick.
many books, and I'm just now starting to read them. I've only been doing this for 3 years. It's about time I actually do read. I'm on chapter 8 of the DM's Guide. Again, if it had been written by like Ravenloft, I would probably be already through it. It's hard. It is
It's a
not easy to
slugfest.
read.
It's a
But I think I'm going
slugfest.
to read the Monsters Manual after this.
The monster manual, I mean it has a lot of fun information in like the
Mm.
first, like, I don't even know if I want to call it a chapter. It's like the introduction, really. There's a
Right.
lot
Well, and
of good.
I wouldn't read like the stats because who cares? But the descriptions of each one because I
Care.
really want to. Well, because I don't want to spoil myself. It's one of the reasons. Oh, I have the only thing I have not read in Ravenloft is the adventure.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
because
Let's
I
say, yeah, no,
don't.
that's not one that we need to go over because
Yeah.
people need to experience that for themselves.
Hopefully someone will run that sometime in my lifetime. So like I said, there's so little time.
So
I don't have enough time.
so many games, so little time. Well, and we are all out of time
Yes.
for tonight. So once again, thank you all for joining us as A&M Talk D&D. As always, I am Ash King,
I'm Michael Cross.
and this is us signing off once more. Check under your bed tonight. Make sure that there's nothing lurking there underneath it. Okay, I love you. Bye.
Be awesome.